Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Vera Tarman, and I am an addiction physician working out of Toronto, Canada. So welcome, and I hope you find something useful. Let's go to this slide, which are the other neurochemicals. So I'm going to bring myself down for a second. So I've talked about the dopamine. There it is in the middle, but we're also looking at endorphins and serotonin. And all three of these are what we call the happy chemicals, the reward chemicals. This is still part of that nucleus accumbens that I just showed you. And we rely on these, just like we rely on the dopamine, the 0 to 200 to get through the day. You know, I need a certain amount or otherwise I'm depressed. Well, I need a certain amount of serotonin to get through the day, and I need a certain amount of endorphins. They're there for me to live as an animal, as a creature, a human creature, a human sentient being. I need these neurochemicals for various functions. Dopamine, as I said before, the motivator, the excitement. They get me up out of bed. So let me pair that with serotonin. So we have another neurochemical called serotonin. And the function of serotonin is to make you, it's kind of like the antithesis to dopamine. So I'm going to actually show you a little diagram, and I'm going to make myself smaller again so you can see. Serotonin is, it's like the counter to dopamine. Dopamine gets me up out of bed. I'm going to get up. I'm going to do things. I go out into the day. Sometimes I'm lazy, but I'm going to push myself. Why am I going to push myself? Because I'm motivated for some reason. Dopamine. But at the end of the day, after I've done everything, I don't want to still be motivated. I want to turn that off. I want to be able to go, I'm done. I'm satisfied. I've done what I need to do for the day. I've checked off all my list of things. 1 dopamine, 2 dopamine, 3 dopamine. It's all done. I want to feel satisfied now. And so now I move into serotonin mode. And serotonin is the neurochemical of contentment. We say the S's, serenity. It's the neurochemical of serenity, contentment, safety, social interaction. It is when I'm out there doing things on dopamine, I don't care that much about other people because it's me, my ego, and I'm out there. I might be doing stuff for somebody, but it's me out there, and I'm thinking about me. But at the end of the day, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be with my herd, my lair, my family. We are social creatures. Serotonin is the glue, the neurochemical glue that keeps us together. Of course, that's just a metaphor, but it is if I don't have a lot of serotonin, then I'm not that social. I'm not that social. But actually, I do want to make a point here. There are some people who say, I don't like people. But are they happy? They may not like people, but unless they found some opening into a serotonin potential, they're going to be unhappy. Now, they might be introverts and they don't like the crowd, but they have 1 or 2 people and they get their serotonin soul food from those 2 or 3 people. They may like to read. When you're reading, think about it. What are you doing when you're reading? You're engaging with the author's thoughts and you're having a reaction. That person, the protagonist, the person, the family member, and the love interest or whatever it is, these are social interactions. They may be fabricated between you and the author, but they're still social. So reading often does it. People try to get it when they watch TV, so they're involved with that person's life. Serotonin is our social connection. Most of all, it's our gratitude, our sense of, like I said, I have. So at the end of the day, after work, I don't want to be adventurous. I don't want to be curious. I want to feel safe so I can go to sleep. I want to feel connected with others. All that stuff I did, now I bring home, all the stuff I've hunted, gathered, I'm bringing home to my community. I'm satisfied. When we do a gratitude list, check off that list. We feel good. When I do something for somebody, do service, I feel good. When somebody says, boy, Vera, you did a great job. Some of that, if it's ego-based, is dopamine, but it might be because I feel like I've helped that person. That's serotonin. And they're really nice. Dopamine, serotonin are nice when they work together. Get up in the morning, work, and at the end of the day, I'm done and I feel satisfied. Now, drugs and alcohol mess that up. Addiction messes that up. And you may have heard the term, the opposite of addiction is connection. And that's because You walk in into a treatment center or into some sort of help as an addict. It might be an AA meeting or something. You're coming in somewhere for help. You're feeling extremely low on the serotonin. Nobody likes me. I am a schmuck. I can't believe what I've done to people. I've disconnected. Nobody's talking to me anymore. Your serotonin is low. You feel unsafe. You feel very ungrateful. You feel like everybody's against you. You're not part of anything except maybe your drug buddies, and they're not friends. Everybody's out for themselves out there in that world. So your serotonin is low, but you're walking in with a bloated dopamine because it's so exaggerated. 400, 600, 800. There's no room for that serotonin, and there's no way normal 1 to 200 serotonin matches that. But when the dopamine is that high, the serotonin cannot possibly match that. We can try to match it a bit by giving antidepressants, which are serotonin boosts. At least that's what the drug companies tell us. That's what it appears to be, that there's some effect of serotonin that might help, but it cannot cut. It cannot touch what addiction does. So what do we do in addiction treatment is we try to bring down the dopamine. One of the phrases we use often is, take the cotton out of your ears and put it in your mouth. Stop talking and start listening. Start connecting and stop talking. Because you want to be able to bring down that ego, that desire, that hunger for more, bring it down, and instead start taking in what exists, which might just be another person sitting there saying, "Hey, you're here, welcome." That's serotonin. So that's essentially what's happening with addiction. That's serotonin. And then the next neurochemical that I mentioned was, I've talked about dopamine ad nauseum, so let's move on to endorphins. So remember, these are the three natural happy neurochemicals. And so endorphin is the neurochemical that we all have, like we have dopamine and serotonin. And this is the neurochemical of pain relief. When you feel relief, oh my God, that bad thing isn't going to happen. You feel so good. That's endorphin. When you, the classic example of endorphin is you're running away from the saber-toothed tiger and then you trip and fall, and you don't want to feel like, oh my God, I'm in so much pain. My ankle hurts and this thing is about to kill me. You want to be able to run up despite the fact that you're in pain. You don't feel the pain. In fact, you feel extra energy and extra good just until you're safe. It's like that little boost of self-confidence and pain relief so that you can get into safety. It happens when you're in danger, when you're hurting, and on some, it could be emotional hurt, it could be physical hurt, and then it holds you through until you're on the other side and safe, and then you hurt. Oh my God, that really hurts. I can't believe that I broke my ankle, or I broke my toe, or something like that. So it is our natural neurochemical for pain relief. Often it's used as a kind of numbing effect, and so it's our, like I said, our neurochemical for numbness. We can get it artificially through opiates like heroin, Percocets, OxyContin, fentanyl. We can get it through behaviors. People who tattoo themselves from the top to the bottom. I've heard people say it's like a spiritual experience, a religious experience. I mean, some people are doing it for other reasons, but it's the actual experience of tattoos, which is painful. I have more people saying they're more afraid of my little TB, tuberculosis syringe that I want to give them to avoid TB than they're more afraid of that than they are of tattoos. I'm not joking. This is true. Crisis. We get it with crisis. You hear of people saying that person's a crisis junkie. They seem to like fights, either physical fights or emotional fights, because they're getting an endorphin something in there. People who do self-harm, like burning, cutting, they're not trying to kill themselves. They're actually not trying to even scar themselves, except maybe as a message of help. They're trying to feel good. They're getting an endorphin release in that self-infliction of pain, which might help for the larger pain of their emotional distress. How you can get it naturally, exercise is a great way to get it, because we naturally have endorphins for a reason. They're meant to be for to push us through the crisis of the pain, and when you get what we call the runner's high, the exercise high, That's not just a slight jaunt over to the coffee shop. That's like a run. And it's not a run right away. Like you don't get that high right away. It happens after about, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 minutes of run, and it's sweating. And oh my God, why am I doing this to myself all the time? And then all of a sudden you're lifted into this experience where it almost feels like you're, I wouldn't say flying, but it's definitely a nicer experience than the one 5 minutes ago. And then if you keep running, after a certain point, that runs out because the endorphin runs out. It only lasts for a while. I'm not sure why or when. Maybe it's the brain realizing you're not in danger. I don't know what it is. But anyway, it's a short-lived process. Meditation, you can get it somehow through meditation. Remember, I was talking about if you have a spiritual practice, you can get an uplifted experience with endorphin through meditation. And in fact, I actually think that the word joy, which is not pleasure, which is not happy, which is not excitement, it's something else. I mean, this might be worthy of a philosophical discussion, like what is joy? And I'm going to pose, I don't think I'm the only one that's posed, but I'm posing it here, that endorphin is the basis of joy, like it's part of joy. Because we often feel joy after something bad has happened, after, you've gone through a terrible experience and it's over now, and you see the point of it and the meaningfulness of it, or you find that ultimately that's what we try to do in therapy is, why did these terrible things happen to me? A loss, a death, a grief, something. If you can get over onto the other side of, okay, now I understand. It makes sense. It's made me a stronger person. That's a sense of joy and strength. And I think that's endorphin. Sex, we get it through sex, the actual experience of the orgasm. And after that nice feeling afterwards is, amongst other things, it's endorphin. So we can get it in recovery, or basically we can get it in sobriety. And basically the word recovery is to try to recover all of these neurochemicals out of the artificial supernatural zone and put them back into where they should belong. And the good news is, like with dopamine, post-acute withdrawal, once you withdraw, the receptors will reinstitute themselves, re-engage themselves, and you'll reset, basically. And then the question is just, you don't want to hearken to the lure of the addiction and go back into that supernatural world, because you want to get satisfied with that 0 to 200 of all of these neurochemicals. But anyway, so we've talked about dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins. And I want to just say about a recovery platform. Remember, I said we want to recover all of these neurochemicals, put them back where they belong, and then live with them happily. Here's a good, I'm going to say, formula. This is a formula that I use for myself and I encourage people to use. Think about these natural neurochemicals that I've just talked about.